Hi, David Martin of EmpowerMax Performance Coaching Systems, bringing you a real quick message. I think last week I made a post on the blog, empowermax.com, of write it down and how important it is to write things down as you're with your goals for 2010, etc. And I wanted to address that again because I had this conversation with somebody this morning. And it was one of those things that really, what set this all off was there was some time ago I was at a conference and there was this speaker there who started going in. He was kind of a goober. You know what I mean? I don't like to talk bad about people, but this particular guy, based on his behavior, he was a goober. The first thing he did was he started talking about how anybody who writes things down, and if you followed me for any length of time, you know that I'm a big proponent of writing things down. And his comment was, you don't have to write anything down. It's a waste of time. And anyone who tells you to write it down is just wasting your time. And I took a little personal offense to that because I've seen too many results. But what really got me was when he started going after the big guys. And he wouldn't mention anyone by name, but you could tell he was talking about the big boys on the motivational personal development stage. The Tony Robbins, the Zig Ziglars, Dennis Waitley, Brian Tracy. Brian Tracy, his book Goals, which is a fantastic book, and I suggest you read it. It's a great book. Amazon, Borders, whatever you do, get the book. I'm a fan if you get all these different books. But anyway, this gentleman went after all these folks, and it really kind of ticked me off. So my whole thing is I've got too much experience. If you look at all the things in history that have been written down, right? The Magna Carta, the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, for just to name a few, those things were in writing, right? Athletes. You look at, you can imagine that today's athletes, right? Peyton Manning, Tom Brady in football, their coaches, Bill Belichick, Joe Girardi of the New York Yankees. Do you think those guys wrote a few things down this year? Right? Do you think they put it down so they can see it? How about Tony Robbins and Zig Ziglar and Brian Tracy and Dennis Waitley and Marianne Williamson and Susie Orman, right? I don't want to name just guys, but people do this. How about you? Right? Have you written things down? How about if you just make a checklist and check it off? Do you think if it works there, it's going to work elsewhere? Absolutely, it's going to work. It does work. When I lived at the U.S. Olympic Training Center, both as an athlete and then later as a coach, right, we encourage the athletes to write it down, right? Plato wrote things down. Socrates wrote things down. Buddha, I imagine, wrote things down, right? The Bible is written down, right? All this stuff is written down. It's in writing. You can read it. And when you take your life as you see it in advance, and you put the pen to the paper, and you write it down in your own handwriting, you're going to get excited because there's a connection between your eyes and the physiological act of writing it down. And it will make that connection, and you'll be able to hold yourself accountable. Okay? And then if you really want to take it to another level and accelerate this, read them out loud. Once you get down and you go through the whole process, right? Ask yourself, what is it that you want? Why is it important to you? And what are you willing to give up to get it? And then answer those questions. You can go back one of the other videos, scroll down and take a look on one of the earlier posts. There's an actual video that shows you exactly, takes you through the 3 steps, actually kind of quick, but it'll give you the fundamentals. And when you put it down and then you read them out loud, now you're making an audio connection with the visual connection and the physiological connection. The 3 most important things in neurolinguistic psychology are the visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. Right? Olfactory and gustatory and digital come into play later. But those three will really get you going. But if you write it down, I promise you, and then you read it and you keep it in front of you and you keep it in a journal so you can review it. Write it down. You're going to have a blast because things are going to explode for you. Things are going to accelerate to a place where you're going to have to step it up. You're going to have to improve. You'll have to evolve personally. You'll have to have better communications. You'll have to have better organization. You'll be hitting things out. You'll be knocking the ball out of the proverbial park. So write it down. Create your future in advance. Write it down and then read it every day. Read it out loud every day and watch what happens. This is David Martin of EmpowerMax Performance Coaching Systems. And before I leave, I want to say this. Next week is Thanksgiving in the United States. So I'm going to ask you, here in the U.S., what are you thankful for? And you know what? All of you watching this that may not be in the U.S., what are you thankful for? That's a question you don't have to ask just once a year. You can ask it on a regular basis. Remember, put everything you have into everything you do because the best is yet to come. We'll talk to you soon.